Hello, beautifuls, and welcome to more magical training. Today we're going to talk about foundations for consistent spiritual growth, evolution, and living a really fulfilling, joyful, peaceful, and happy life. So, integrating magic into all this is always fun, but a lot of times we take for granted the foundations that we have. So if you just simply look at Maslow's hierarchy, you have your basic needs, you have your connection with others, and a few other things before you get to self-actualization. And above self-actualization, what Maslow said in his dying days was self-transcendence was actually more important. Now, what does it mean to transcend the self? Well, if you've had a spiritual awakening, significant near-death experience, third eye opening, astral projection, past life regression, or a number of other things, you'll realize that you are more than your current mind and body. You are your essence, your soul, your consciousness. So defining this might change tradition to tradition, map to map. And just one perspective I'd like to offer to you as a fellow student of this grand reality school that we're in is the eternal part of you that doesn't die. The part of you that carries on through lifetimes, the part of you that is connected to the greater cosmic reality beyond the time and space of this earth. And while you chose to incarnate into a mind, into a body, and have and assemble and disassemble and reassemble and surrender all the little aspects of ego that make up personality, you as a soul want to get back to source. And you know this, whether you want to call it union with the divine, or completion, or Christ consciousness, or ascension, or re-becoming divinity, as I talk about in my book, Magic is Real. All these things are what our soul is yearning for. But if you're in a mind and a body, you need to take care of your foundations. And unless those are taken care of for you, unless you're living in a beautiful community, like one that I run out here in Palo Alto, or a part of the temples that I plan to build in the future, or even Atlantis Reborn, which we'll get into a bit in other videos, we need to make sure our finances are good, our food is good, our shelter is good, our relationships are good, and all that stuff. So what does it mean when you level up and you get to a really high state and you're thriving and you're in tune with your purpose or some sense of it, and you're giving and you're loving and you're nourished and you're whole, and then you're back down again? And you feel some semblance of, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I don't feel motivated, I want to procrastinate, things are going wrong, I'm getting emotionally reactive, I haven't been doing my habits, all those things, all those states of being. And as you go down the ladder of awareness, as you go down from enlightenment and peace and joy and love to reason and acceptance and willingness and to courage and pride and desire and anger and shame and grief and those things on the bottom of that pyramid, you'll start to notice you have ways of making sure you don't slip beyond a certain point. So daily practices like meditation are great to anchor your awareness at a certain level. And just like a lot of us have personally or known people who have had something like a rock bottom experience, we know we never want to go there again. But we often don't lay a higher foundation than that. And so I'd like to offer to you foundations using a pyramid shape as an example. So using this amethyst crystal, and if any stress or upset or trigger or anything comes up, you can just project it into this beautiful amethyst here and she'll absorb it all for you. And so if you think about this crystal, the top of this crystal, the top of this pyramid is able to sit here because of the stuff in the middle. And this stuff is able to sit here because of the stuff on the bottom. And that might sound obvious and basic, like you would learn in kindergarten, but think about it for your own life. If your basic needs are here, and you're starting to ignore them, ignore your finances, for example, ignore your financial planning for your future, whether it's a month or a year or 3 years, or there's a lot of cases of people who taught meditation their whole lives, didn't pay taxes, became elderly, couldn't work as much, then couldn't collect Social Security and Medicare and other, societal safety nets because they didn't, support the foundational pyramid in a way that could support them later on. They just wanted to be up here all the time. So unless you're fortunate enough to have everything taken care of, you need to work on these consistently. Is there enough stuff here? Is there enough stuff in the foundations of your life? Do you feel nourished and whole enough to stay on your path of higher awareness? So this this video is mainly for those of us, and there's a lot of people out there. A lot of people come to me often saying, I want to be in my right brain and creative and loving and in flow and playful and living this great spiritual life. But when it comes to planning or thinking or decision making or following through or consistency or having your spiritual mission broken down into concrete goals like you would with a job, what are you achieving this quarter, next quarter, what's the annual goal? A lot of times there's not a lot of compatibility. There's not a lot of merging of those worlds. And so if you think about it, we have a right brain, we have a left brain. The left brain is analytical and decision making and planning. Right brain is creative and artistic. And one isn't better than the other. We have both. If you want to be holistic, if you want to be a whole brain, you need to learn and know both. It isn't spiritual to it isn't non-spiritual to say I'm not going to think about my left brain at all, or I'm not going to do the planning and goals. Things will just come as they come. Well, sure, surrender is a part of it. That's a beautiful feminine energy, but the yang energy, the masculine energy, the divine masculine, I'm going to create this, I'm going to plan this, I'm going to organize this, has just as much presence and deservance in your life as does everything else. And to be complete and be balanced and be functional and holistic in this whole world, we need both brains. So right now, I'd like to walk you through an exercise. So I'd recommend that you get some physical stuff, like a paper and something to write on. If that isn't in your immediate area or you can't procure it in literally like a minute while everything is fresh on your mind, you can open up a note app, and if you're watching this on your phone, then you can open up that app as you're listening to this video if you have the ability to do that. If not, you can pause and go back and forth. And I just want to offer to you something that my Sifu of Shaolin Kung Fu said to me once, that we read for inspiration and we practice for progress. Now, in the digital age, reading is often also watching videos and listening to stuff as well. So just wanted to offer to you the, the possibility of integrating this into your life. If you think my material on YouTube or on Facebook, Instagram, and email newsletters from magicalgoldenage.com, any of that stuff is useful, when you really put it into practice, that's when it makes an impact.